Well, here we are. It's challenge number 5, and I really hope you've enjoyed a lot of the challenges we've been doing. We've done their first 4 flowers, but this one is going to be what we call a clover flower with some clover petals. Now, the one I've created here is larger than the one you are going to make, but you get the great idea. This is a beautiful little flower with some clover leaves on the outside edge and a small stem. So what we want to do is now decide what we want as materials as we're going to work through this project. And of course, you're going to use a medium or a light cardstock to cut the flower and the leaves. And that's all we really need to cut with this one. But you're going to need your floral tape. You're going to need a stem, some glue. And this time I want you to have a white pen or some white paint so that we can color up those clover leaves and really make them look authentic. And of course, the last thing you need are some scissors. We want to upload our file, and our file is called Clover Challenge 5. And I'm going to add it to the canvas. Now, these are pretty large, the ones that I have here. I've also created a smaller one for you to use. So these ones are pretty large, but that's okay. I'm going to ungroup everything at this point. And we're just going to take our leaves down here. And we have some basic cuts in the center. I've already put the score lines in here. So I'm going to click and shift click those 3. I'm going to change them from basic cut to a score line. And then I am going to take these 3 pieces and go from blue to green because we want to have green leaves. So we'll just make them green. And then I'm going to take each one individually and attach it so nothing moves. There we go with 3 attachments. And we are finished with the leaves at this point, other than what we're going to paint a little later. Now, if I take a look at these, we're going to look at the size here. These are 4.5 inches. Now, I find 4.5 inches is a pretty big flower. So what I want you to do with this, unless I've given you the smaller one, is these need to be a bit smaller. So I'm going to change the width to 2.2 inches. I'm going to make them exactly half of what they are. Each one of these should be 2.2. And this one at 2.2. If you can remember just to divide them by half if they're too large, and then at least you're working with it. And this is 3.9, so forth. I'll just make this 2. And this one is 3, so I'll make it 1.5. And that's because we don't want a huge cloverleaf flower as we're working through this particular project. When I did the original, I made it fairly large. Now, there is absolutely nothing you need to change on here. And I know I've got this in blue, but these will be all on white paper. These will be on green, and the type of paper that you choose will depend on you. I use a medium cardstock that seems to work extremely well. But you could use something lighter if you wish, because we're going to do a little bending and folding as we work through this. And of course, we're going to add our stem with a lot of extra little pieces and parts. So let's save this. And this is our Clover Flower. And I'll just save it the way it is. Perfect. Then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to click on Make It. We're going to make it on the mat. And that looks like I can have a nice piece of paper across the top. Those are all going to cut on one piece of paper. And then, of course, I have the other mat with the green. And these are going to require the score. So everything looks good. We're going medium cardstock. So let's go ahead and let's now make this. And then once it's cut, we'll go over to the demo table. All right, we've cut all the pieces for our clover flower now. We have our 3 little leaves. We have all our petals. I'm going to use one of these stems. We have some floral tape and I have a white pen. Now you could use probably use some white paint. Now I'm going to take our little leaves and I'm going to give them a fold in the center so we can see the fold, because we're going to glue them at the bottom here. And there we go. Now, what we're going to do is make this look a little more authentic. And a clover leaf usually has a little bit of white marking in the center. So that's all I'm going to use this for, just to give it something a little more authentic looking. Just adding a few little white strokes as it goes through here to make it look a little more authentic. Just add a little more here. This is a Sakura gel pen that I'm using. But you can use a little bit of white paint if you wanted to do so. Now we have it on the one side. I could put it on the back, but I'm just going to leave it at the one side for now. And I will just put my pen off to the side. And these are the petals that we're going to make this into a clover leaf pattern. And I'm just going to glue them together. So let's just take out, this is an Aleene's tacky glue, and that's so I can move things around if I don't like the way they've turned out. Let's just get a little bit of the glue in there so I hit those at the right spot. Just add a little more here. There we go. And I will add this piece in and just move it out into a cloverleaf pattern. Now I'm just going to move that off to the side and let it dry. And we're going to work on the rest of our flower. Now, let me just put the lid back on my glue here and just move it off to the side. Now you'll notice that 4 of these have, of course, the holes in the center. That's a smaller one. There's 3 regular ones. So we know this one's going to go on top and we're going to work it. Now, the biggest thing with all of these, before we do anything, yes, we are going to put our stem through the center. However, what we need to do with each one of these petals is give it a pinch in the center. We don't want to really fold it, but we want to give it a pinch in the center, just like that. And we're going to go around and we're going to do each and every little petal on every single one of these, and to make it up into the center. Now it does take a little bit to get it to go. And then when we've got these done, then we're going to push the centerpiece down a bit to form a little bowl. And the reason we want to do that is so that the stem fits in exactly the way we want it. Now remember, you're just pinching them. This is not a score line that you could have put in there. You're just pinching it from the sides. You're making it look really nice as you pinch it in from the sides. So it's going to come up and it's going to fit together just like this. Now I know it's going to take a second or two to do all of these, but it's really important that we do make them work for us. And I'm going to do this as you're doing it as well. It won't take that long. Just gonna get a little system going here. Just my pinching with my fingers up into the center. Just get them as much as possible. That's why I use a medium cardstock on this. It's a little tougher to push, but then once you've got it all into the center, then what you can do is you can take them and then pinch them in from the sides once you've got a little fold in there. And the thing is, you don't want them even. You don't want them exactly the same. And if you did, it wouldn't be a nice clover flower. So I'm just pinching these now from the sides. There we go. You can see some go sideways, some go straight. And it's just a matter of getting them pinched into place. And as you can see, then I can push them up to the center. Now, we do have this at the bottom. So what I want to do is I want to push that bottom down. I have to work it a little bit so that it makes a little bowl just like that. We are going to glue things to it, but it becomes a little round bowl at that point. So that's what we're going to do with all of these. And it, like I say, it doesn't take that long to do it. You just give it a good pinch and then push it in. And it's just a matter of taking a little bit of time to do it, and just want to make your flower look perfect. A clover flower is actually quite beautiful. I mean, they are white, but you could use other colors if you wanted to. You can add little dye edges to them. Some of them have a little bit of mauve in them. So now once I've got them pinched, I'm going to pinch them a little harder as I go through. I just want to show you one more time how we're going to do this. And it's just really an interesting way to do a flower. This is a little more challenging than most of them because it's just a matter of how you put the parts together. The basic premise will always remain the same. There's petals, there's leaves, there's stems. Okay, so we've got that one all in. I'm going to push this together just like that, and I'm going to get it to form that little bowl as I bring it down. So I've got a nice little bowl there as well. So I've got a couple more to go. And I'll just quickly pinch these. Just take a second or two. It actually doesn't take that long to do it. You just have to get a little method going with it. This is an absolutely fun flower to do for a challenge. I hope you enjoyed the other challenges as well, especially the rolled rose, which was the easiest one of the whole lot. And then we went into a nested flower. And from there, we made a daisy and a spider mum. And each had their little pieces with templates. But once you get used to making flowers and understanding how the templates work, assembling is going to be a lot easier once you start doing a fair number of these. Now, this particular project is going to be really great because this is something you could make a whole lot of. And I've got my little area all ready to go here. So this one is a smaller one. As you can see, these are larger. These ones are smaller. And the smaller they are, it's a little harder to pinch, but you need to have them in a certain order and a way that we can glue everything together onto our stem. Now, as far as the stem goes, I'm using a coated wire that is used for gardening, but you could use all kinds of things. You could use a straight dowel if you wanted to, but it's not flexible. Anything flexible, you could use rolled paper. That works really well. Rolled paper will then give you the ability to make it thin or fat or whatever you wanted to do with it. You just have to be creative when it comes to your stems. Your floral tape, of course, will help hide any flaws in the things that you're working on. And that is a real crucial piece to flower making, is to be able to get that together. Now we've got that one all pinched together. Let me just roll that up so I get a nice little bowl there. As you can see, the bowl forming with all of them. And then this last piece is our centerpiece. And it's a little smaller for pushing together, but I'm just going to bend it the best that I can. And then we are finished bending and manipulating. We are then going to start assembling this by putting our stem in through the holes to start. And that's going to be fairly easy because we've made little bowls with it. Now we are going to use a fair amount of glue in the center. And the reason we're going to use a fair amount of glue is because we want it to be able to stick into place and not fall apart. Now, when we did our original one, we added a lot of glue to the bottom, but it was rather large compared to what this one is going to be. Okay, just a couple more to pinch here. And we are done doing this part. You'll notice this one does not have a hole in the center. And the reason it does not is that is the cap on top of where our stem is going to go. But I still have to bend it into place. And this one's more of a flat bottom. Okay, so we have all of our pieces ready to go. And they are going to be nesting inside of each other. So I'm just going to put them on top of each other. So I'm just going to open this one up a little bit. so that we're matching our holes. So I'm just putting them on top of each other right now. And as I mentioned, I'm just matching the holes at this point. You see they make a nice little bowl together. Now, what we want to do is now add our stem. Now it's going to fit in there fairly loosely, which is okay, because what we want to do is just add this in, and I'm going to pull it back out in a second, but we want to add a fair amount of glue into the hole to start. So let me just get the glue going in here. I know it's going to go down in the bottom, but I'm going to add a fair amount right here at the top. And then I'm just going to push my stem into place, and you can see where it is in the center here. But because I have a fair amount at the bottom, I'm holding it. I am going to place a lot of glue on the top, but I know that I can get my stem poking through. There it is. And with the stem poking through, I'm going to add my top piece right here to hold it into place. Now, it's going to take a little while to dry, and that's the biggest issue here. So I'm just going to hold it up and just push it off to the side here while it dries. But I am going to add a little more glue to it because I really want it to dry in place and make sure it stays in one area. There we go. Now, it will take a minute or two in order to dry. And I'm not going to make you wait, but I'm going to show you exactly what we did when it came to the leaves. So we have it all glued into place here. So this is what we had done with the larger one. So the stem is actually glued into place here. And then when we curled it down, we actually glue our leaves into place. And I can actually do that with this one as this glue is drying. So I'm just going to glue it into place. And then we just have to wait for the whole thing to dry. If I turn this up, it still will work. And then once it's dry, I can pull this clover leaf into position like this, and I will pull the pieces in together. So that is all there is to making our beautiful clover flower. So I hope you had a lot of fun with this challenge and you really enjoyed making this clover flower. So I am going to send you out a survey after this particular challenge is completed, just to see how you did and any other requests that you may have. So until next time, happy crafting.